Penguin Studios presents It's Getting Drafty in Here.
Drafty old farm.
The show of drafting random nonsense.
I choose business ethics.
And now, coming to you from his basement, a.k.a. Draft Headquarters, your host and draft master, Magnificent Stan.
Hello, welcome to episode 59 of It's Getting Drafty in Here. I am your host, Magnificent Stan. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. And today we're going to be doing one that our guy Sam cooked up here, which is our favorite stand-up comedians. So joining me is, again, Sam Reeves from All Sports Scene. How are you, buddy?
I am doing very well, Brian. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me on.
Please take my wife. Also joining me, or joining us, is our good buddy Nick Murawski from Good Guys Talk Back, as well as Sox Sober.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Yeah, thank you. I just read Sam's headline, or his name, for the first time since I joined, and I was laughing. Well done, Sam.
I don't even know the reference. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's just I wish I would have caught it sooner, and now I'm just seeing it for the first time, so I laughed.
All righty then. So yeah, stand-up comics, no categories, anything like that. We're just gonna go straight through. Nick, you won the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got at number one here, pal?
We were talking before we went live just about the amount of comics. I mean, this is such a subjective thing, and depending on how old you are, or probably even where you lived, or if you had older siblings that might have influenced you, or even parents, all that kind of stuff. I went with somebody that is not going to find themselves in like the top 5, top 10, or maybe even top 20 all time. I think he's clean. He's unbelievably funny. And I went with him because I didn't want anybody else to take him, because I feel so connected to him. I've seen him live the most amount of times that I've seen any stand-up comedian. He's kind of broke through. He's been in one sitcom. I shouldn't even say sitcom, but a series. He's been on Cars, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I think Jerry Seinfeld values him as one of his favorite comedians. So, and it's Brian Regan. Brian Regan is my choice, and I saw him back in maybe early 2000s, on a Comedy Central, when they used to have those. Mm-hmm. When Comedy Central used to do a lot of stand-up comedians, and boy, just his facial expressions, his mannerisms, the way he tells a story, I just laugh out loud, and immediately had to go see him. Saw him at Zany's up in, I think, St. Charles, and I've seen him at the Chicago Theater. I mean, he's started to get some buzz with some Netflix specials and stuff, but his stuff plays, and he could really do a whole best of, and it would kill against some of the all-timers, just not well known, didn't have those TV shows and everything like some of the 90s comedians did, where they got picked up and their sitcom went skyrocketed with syndication. But man, I don't know if you guys have experienced much of Brian Regan, but I love the dude.
Yeah,
it's been a long time. Yeah, go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
He was one of the first people to have one of the main Comedy Central specials in
the
late 2000s, when he had the epitome of hyperbole.
Yeah.
I watched that one probably 9 or 10 times because it was on Comedy Central for 2 weeks straight, just for them trying to get exposure.
Right.
So. And like you said, his facial expressions are amazing. He's got great bits, and he's very, very, very good for the niche that he's found for that. So.
Yeah, I would say they call him. I've heard him be referenced as a comedian's comedian. Mm-hmm. He really, really put the work. Not I'm saying that nobody else put the work in, but he really, I mean, honed his craft. It was a slow burn. It took him a while to really start getting discovered. And if you go to his website, he is constantly touring. The dude is constantly hustling. He's constantly working. I think he's got a brother that also does stand up and used to open for him.
I want to say his name was Dennis.
Yes, absolutely. And he played a character in the show Loudermilk, and the guy, and I'm blanking on the actor's name, but he's the main character in Office Space.
Ron Livingston.
Yes, Ron Livingston. It's a good show. It really hits home for me. And Brian Regan plays a recovering alcoholic, and he nails it, man. This guy can act, as you'll find a lot of comedians can. Like, they go to a dark place, and he plays it well. And I hope he continues to, do some other projects. But man, he's to me, that's what a stand-up comedian is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're 6 minutes in. I already have my gut busting laugh from that one, Sam. Thank you. He did play Tony Soprano. That was right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I didn't even have him on my list, and it's not because I don't think he's fucking hilarious. It's because I kind of just like he's kind of faded out over the years, and I've been wanting to watch Loudermilk. I've seen clips from it. It looks freaking hilarious. So,
it's a well done show, kind of under the radar. I don't even know what platform it may be Netflix right now, but it's kind of bounced around.
I want to say it's on HBO, isn't it?
Could be. It was when it originally aired, it was on a station that I wasn't getting, and now it's kind of, you can find it with streaming platforms.
Cool. I will have to check that out.
But
good start. Go with your gut. Go with what you like.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping this draft would be. So
absolutely.
I'm gonna follow suit with that as well and go with. I mean, this guy's more well known, but if you look at the listing that people are rankings of the greatest comedians ever, he's not a blip on it. This guy was on SNL. Just kind of floated around for many years on the circuit. Just a guy who always worked on his craft, and I always just thought his delivery and it just absolutely phenomenal. And that's Norm Macdonald.
Man,
he's on the list.
Great call.
When I have a bad day, when I'm sad, when I'm anytime I need a laugh, I go to Norm Macdonald clips every single time, and that's been like that for years. Whether it's like him on Conan, which is some of the funniest shit you'll ever watch, to the roast stuff, to his stand-up, to Weekend Update. I mean, and he didn't care. He didn't care who the hell he offended. He didn't care if he was going to get fired. He was going to fucking go after OJ as much as he possibly could,
and get fired for it.
Even years later.
Yeah, he didn't care. And he was right about it. I mean, he was right for it. Let's be, real frank about it. He said, and over the year, I mean, it was a different era, and he said some things that aren't maybe tiptoeing the line a little too much, but still, I mean, from his podcast, everything just fucking hilarious. And if you want to see that guy at his peak, watch him during the Bob Saget roast. Because he literally tries to tank, and it comes off as brilliant.
And he just
telling like the worst dad jokes ever.
And he murders.
Ladies and gentlemen, this man's for the birds. It's just
his delivery. You could, the cadence and the way he, you can repeat, you could try to replicate it, but it's just so unique. And you're starting to laugh when he starts telling the joke. He did a great one on with Seinfeld on Comedians in Cars about Kojak and how it's just his delivery. And I had such, I mean, David Letterman was, in terms of late night wars, like he was my guy. I was a David Letterman guy, and the reverence that David Letterman had for Norm Macdonald, and I think Norm might have been on his last show or one of his last shows and
he started.
stand-up.
Yeah, it was very heartwarming thing too, because he tried to explain that like his whole life he wanted to be David Letterman.
Yes,
that's what he wanted to do.
Yep.
Yeah, and he did that, like, I don't think it was called History of the World, but it was, that joke about, like, almost like, do you believe somebody like Hitler would just say, I'm going to go against the world, like in terms of like having a World War II. And obviously you got to look it up, but I think that's the one he told on the Letterman show. And man, Norm, there's a Twitter handle that's just like Norm doing Weekend Update, and you can just get a new, kind of like one-liner from him, and 80% of them are OJ, but they're brilliant. They're great. Follow that, and you get a bit of funny every single day.
I think the writing for Weekend Update during that era was just brilliant, because even like when they put Colin Quinn out there, he was still freaking hilarious, and you're just like, Colin Quinn, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But
and they had a lot to work from too. That was a crazy time in our world, in our country. There was a lot of crap going on, and they took with it and they ran.
Yeah.
If you're ever feeling down and you have a few minutes, just look up Norm Macdonald moth joke on Conan. It's all you ever need.
There's also look up Norm Macdonald Carrot Top on Conan, because he was on with Courtney Thorne Smith, and she was starting to talk about a movie that she had filmed with Carrot Top, and he just absolutely destroyed the fact that she worked with Carrot Top, because he like asks her what the name of the movie is, and Norm's like, can I? And they're like, he goes, how about Box Office Poison? And poor Courtney Thorne Smith like is laughing her ass off, but she should.
But there it goes,
Just
instant tank.
The movie is called Chairman of the Board, and Conan's like, try and make a joke out of that, and he goes, is board spelled Bored? It's so cheesy, it's so like simple, but like the way he delivers it,
so funny.
You just run with it.
Yeah.
I got another name for the movie, Box Office Poison. Thank you, Shankster. All right, Sam, why don't you get your two here?
All right. First one I'll go with is surprisingly someone who didn't go yet, and many would consider him one of the greatest of all time, and that is the great George Carlin.
Yeah, I had him up there on my list. Yeah. Good call.
The 7 words you can't say on TV or radio is still one of the best bits of all time.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine George Carlin right now? That's
oh my God.
I beg for people like George Carlin. Like, wow. I don't know if Bill Burr is in that category of George Carlin, but like has that kind of edge and feeling. Yeah. And like, those are the types of people we need right now in society, that just rip what's going on and just call it like it is. Like, are you kidding me? Okay, this is what's happening. And Carlin was that to a T, and then decided, you know what? I'm going to be the voice of, Thomas the Tank Engine on WTTW or PBS, whatever he did, which was such a strange move. But yeah, great call.
And he started doing a bunch of Kevin Smith movies.
He was in Bill and Ted, and he
did one. Oh yeah, that's right. Rufus. Forgot about that. Yeah, my favorite Carlin joke is when he talks about the differences between baseball and football, and how like football has this like dark, seedy underbelly, like this toughness to it, and baseball is played in a park. It's just like it's brilliant. Like he's just brilliant, and even like the simplest of things, like talking about two sports, he manages to just tear them both apart.
Oh yeah.
Now he was a guy too that completely changed his image. I mean, when he started, he was buttoned up, short hair, kind of. It had that skinny tie, that very 50s look.
Yep.
And he completely reinvented himself and really found an outlet. Found an audience. And boy, I mean, did he catch on fire?
Yeah. Yeah, they made a Simpsons episode out of it when Krusty the Clown became edgy.
Yeah.
The Canyonero episode.
Oh man.
Jack listening to George Carlin records in his parents' basement.
Yep.
Yeah, that was me and my cousin with Cheech and Chong records.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, he's the ace. I think there's another one that, like, if you were actually ranking the greatest comedians of all time, he's going to be at the top. But there's a couple other ones that are like there. But he's he's there.
Absolutely.
All right, Sam. We already got our children's show narrator.
That's what I was going for. Those are my bit. That's my bit for this is children's TV show narrators. All right. So next one I'll go with. I'm torn between two, but I got to take him, and that's the great Steve Martin.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think he was going to last that long anyway,
No.
but that's the call. That's the one.
Just even the stuff he's doing with Martin Short the last few years is phenomenal. And I mean, God, Steve Martin is so just good at being clean, and then he can just pour it on whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, he goes into that second gear and he just takes off. Yeah. But even in first gear, he's still making you laugh. So.
Oh yeah.
He came out with the book Born Standing Up, the autobiography, early 2000s. I read that in one day. I just couldn't put it down. Obviously a comedian that I didn't see live, got to know Steve Martin through the movies, but listening to, my parents my dad who had the vinyl, Let's Get Small, and would tell me about, you don't understand. This guy was a rock star. This guy was playing to arenas, sports arenas, before anybody was doing that. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the documentary that came out recently, the 2-parter on Apple TV on Steve Martin. And
no,
I mean, why he left stand up. I mean, he left it at the peak. He was at the top of the game. And you're so big that people are coming to your shows and just doing your jokes. And you're like, in his ability to reinvent himself over and over again, whether it's a cartoon book that he is doing of political cartoons, or, he's written plays and in the whole banjo band that he has, the folk band. And then obviously the stuff with Martin Short and the TV series,
I've been told the live shows with him and Martin Short are just brilliant.
Yeah, I bought my mom tickets to him last year.
Martin Short's nuts too. A buddy of mine at work saw it, and they said that he was doing like tons of physical comedy. You're like,
still
he's
does.
Like 70-something years old, like.
Yeah, I and then here Martin does the first movie out of stand-up is what, The Jerk? I mean, it just explodes, and that's difficult to do. And Martin, a lot of failure in his life. And, I mean, he started off at Knott's Berry Farm, working in a magic shop out in California. And it just, wow. He would wear a white suit because he just was like, people need to see me because I'm doing these mega arenas. And, I'm like an ant to them if they're sitting all the way in the back. And just crazy, crazy stuff he was doing that he was doing. And he's like, some people might get this, but they will eventually. And I'm just going to keep doing this type of humor until until it actually unlocks in their brain.
God.
Yeah. It's funny. He's made a lot of terrible movies as well, but nobody really gives a shit because Steve Martin's in it. He looks exactly the same as he did 50 years ago. He looked like he was 50 years ago.
It's one of my favorite Martin Short things that they do when they're together. He's like, Steve has looked 76 years old for 55 years.
Yeah. He's 100% right.
He's the oldest man alive.
All right. I'm just going to keep going with the guys I like. You mentioned Bill Burr. I think I got to go Bill Burr here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First one.
Another one just toes the line, doesn't give a fuck if you care if he toes the line or not, you know?
Nope.
Like
He literally toed the line on SNL on Saturday. And
Yeah,
didn't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think we as Sox fans love him for his anti-Cubs rant. You know, that joke, that stand-up bit he did, that just he put it on a tee, just perfect. Said it exactly. And he's from what? Boston? You know, he's from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Paper Tiger is one of my favorite ones that he's done.
Him, it's all about delivery and attitude too. It's and it's and confidence too. A lot of comics are self-deprecating. He's not. He's very confident out there, and he knows his shit's funny, you know. So yeah, I had to go Bill Burr. I've been watching a lot the last couple of weeks of stand-up comedy, and the gut-busting moments of the times watching have been Bill Burr. So like, you know, I was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. He's
Have you ever seen him live, Sam?
I've never seen him live, no. But his, like, even what was this, like 2016 or 15, I think, is when he released Paper Tiger on Netflix, and that's like one of my favorite ones he's done, and he's getting better. That's the crazy part. Like he's like near the twilight of his career at this point, and he's getting better.
And we got a Star Wars cast member now.
Yeah, we do. Also famously, Nick Miller's cousin in New Girl. It's good for you. It's corn.
He's in a show. Is it Old Dads? That I've been told is actually pretty damn funny.
I think that only got like a season or two out of that show, though.
Yeah, I got to check out.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, I think that analysis, Nick, when you said that he's kind of the modern Carlin, that's kind of similar to the style. I would say very similar.
Yeah, comedians that, you know, there's all different types of styles, right? And comedians that have their finger on the societal pulse and can really articulate and paint a picture, you know, of what's going on. Like, let's just cut it. Like, let me boil it down to what's happening and how I see it, and deliver it the way he delivers it in his just in his cadence. I mean, it's very reminiscent of what Carlin was kind of doing years ago, at least from what the video and the audio that I got.
Right on. Definitely. Right on. I agree. All right. You want to, you got two here, Nick.
All right. So I've got a few on my list still that, you know, I have seen in person. I'm going to sit on those. There's one that deserves to be probably said already, but I might save that. This one, before my time, although just died very recently, I never saw him do stand-up. I think he got very well known for, you know, his TV series and some of the movies that he did, namely you know, Elf, which is like it's mandatory watching from like Halloween until January now. But I read his book, his autobiography, back in the early 2000s, and I've watched and listened to so much of his stand-up. It just hits me. His dry, patient, just the style that he did. Bob Newhart is my pick, and you know, to do what he was doing with all of those phone bits, and you know, it was really patient humor. It was in that like that 50s era, that early 60s, you know, Second City was just kind of emerging, that like hip culture. And he is playing the patient game up there, where he is having a conversation in a lot of his bits, and you can't hear, of course, what Abe Lincoln was the famous, you know, conversation he's having with Abe Lincoln, like his Lincoln's publicist or whatever. And it's just the way he was able to craft that. I think an Oak Park native of a local guy, and a guy that came to stand up later in his life. He might have been an accountant or had some kind of office job.
Yeah.
And he just was like, you know what? I think I've got something here. And how about that? Just to like say, hey, I'm going to go after it. And I really wish I could have been alive like during that heyday of Bob Newhart's stand-up, but thankfully we've got all the recordings and it lives on. But yeah, Bob Newhart.
See, when Nick mentioned Elf, I thought he was going James Caan.
That classic James Caan from Lake Tahoe. That is a precious CD in my collection.
And Nick, you're 100% right. He was an accountant.
Okay, excellent.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, how about that? But like, kind of fits his personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a guy that's the antithesis of a Bill Burr or a George Carlin. He wasn't super confident on the stage, but it was all part of his act, and it played off of his style, you know.
Yeah, I like that kind of patient, dry approach. Yeah. I mean, it's, again, when we talk about stand-up comedians, and you know, obviously there's been so many like albums or artists or guitarists or whatever, you know, well, it's like the style of stand-up comedian is so different. You know, are you a setup joke guy? You know, are you a storyteller? You know, are you somebody that kind of pontificates on what's happening in society? It's very different, and you know, it hits at different times. I think also depending on what's happening in society. You know, you think back to some stand-up comedians, and you're like, could they do what they're doing now? You know, like, and could someone, what they're doing right now, could they have done that decades before? I don't know. You know, I don't know if it would have hit, but that's the beauty of it. It's, it kind of evolves, and there's, you know, it depends on your taste of comedian.
Absolutely.
All right. I've got a second one here, right?
Yep.
I have got a couple that I just don't know. I might hold on to one more here. Okay. I didn't see this guy live. He died in 2005, but he was one of those early Comedy Central specials. Just, you know, like, what is this guy doing? And I love this delivery, and I love just how patient and dry. Mitch Hedberg is
on my list.
He was number 3 on my list.
Yeah, Mitch Hedberg was like, I don't know. I mean, you talk about acid trips. I'm like, whoa, mind blowing. Like, this is, you know, and how just well crafted it was, and you know, it's. Phyllis Diller. Oh gosh, yeah. Round 8. So no, Mitch Hedberg.
That's wishful thinking, Jack.
Rob Schneider's dead.
Terrible human being.
Oh my gosh, Mitch Hedberg is like one of my favorites of all time. Just easily. Like, there's nobody who could have done what he did.
When I talk to you, Sam, I think Mitch Hedberg sometimes. So just
that
let
is
you know.
Too big of an honor.
Yeah. He I don't know. I mean, a lot of these comedians, you know, like we talked about before we went live, like, you know, a lot of them are dead, gone way too soon. And what was the story with Hedberg? I didn't even look it up because I thought I really was confident and knew. Was that suicide or was it drug OD?
I thought it was OD.
Okay. I mean, I hate to say like I wasn't surprised when I heard it. He just seemed like some of those comedians, man, when you hear about their backstories, it's like you had a troubled life where you're dealing with a lot of demons, and this was your outlet, you know. This was your way to just release all of this. But yeah, I mean, what a talented dude.
His death was additionally believed to be the result of congenital heart failure, heart defect. But the New Jersey Medical Examiner's Office reported he died accidentally as the result of multiple drug toxicity, including cocaine and heroin. So
you might you could probably just say that was a Jim Morrison death. Then I guess that'll happen.
But one of my favorite,
I just loaded a page of just nothing but Mitch Hedberg jokes.
one of my favorite Mitch Hedberg facts is when he made his appearance on that 70 show in one episode. Is there I don't even know what he was. He was just the food delivery clerk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They let him write his own lines.
Oh my goodness!
And so
why not? Yeah.
There was somebody I think it was Kelso asked me, he's like, "Hey man, where's my food?" And he's like, "Can you? I did not lose my legs in Vietnam for you to talk to me like that." He's like, "Carl, you still have both your legs." That's what I said. I did not lose my legs in Vietnam.
Yeah, great, just well crafted, just great delivery. Oh man,
he had the type of jokes that you could just write a book with just nothing but the jokes.
A lot of one-liners.
It's super observational and just for example, my fig plants died because I did not pretend to water them. Just
right, right. I mean, and you write that or you say that and you're like, I don't know, but he had the confidence to just the way he delivered it, and he had just that whole look. He's a very unique. You almost knew a Mitch Hedberg joke. If somebody told it to you, you'd be like, oh yeah, that was Mitch Hedberg, I bet.
Just some of the best from him.
I could sit here and read these for days. But I'm not going to. All right. Well, you were talking, Nick, again, you were talking about comics that were dry, and I think I'm going with the driest comic of all time, and I'm picking Stephen Wright.
There you go. Yeah. It was like Hedberg or Wright. And
they're two of some of the best mundane deliverers in the damn game.
Oh God, the king of delivery right there.
Yep.
My God,
the best.
Yep.
Yeah,
another Boston comic, Stephen Wright.
Another guy like Hedberg though, he didn't really have long drawn out humor. Everything was just a quick one liner observation that you could just make a list, and he could just stand up there, and the way he delivered, he could just sit there and read his list. You know what I mean?
My God, two of my favorite jokes have ever been by Stephen Wright. The one is, I saw a guy on the side of the road with a sign that said heaven, so I ran him over. I think he got there. He looked like a nice guy. Now the other one is, I got an MRI to see if I was claustrophobic. It came back positive.
I think it's wrong that only one company makes the game Monopoly.
It's just the best.
Yeah.
The damn best.
Oh, yeah. I of course, guy on the couch, Yeah, he was one of those guys I was like, how is he still alive all these years later?
Still there.
Still around.
He was in a movie where he played a cop or something at a desk, and it was so damn funny.
We lose Nick? Yeah, I think we lost Nick.
Maybe we died of.
Oh, okay. All right, Sam. You want to move on here?
Yeah. So this is getting tougher because my list is still so massive.
I'm gonna just go ahead and add another round now. Just
perfect.
I think we're gonna. You good with that, Nick?
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a 2.5-year-old that's screaming upstairs, and I don't want to. I don't want the audio to be unless he's responding to somebody's list. I don't know.
All right. All right. I'll go with it. This man is known as the #1 club comic of all time. Is now ripped. He's some of my comedians' favorite comedian. They love him. I love him. I've seen him several times now, and that's Dave Attell. Maya Angelou is hilarious, Kevin.
She really is.
Dave Attell will work in clubs for the rest of his life and be the happiest man of all time. He doesn't want to meet you. He doesn't want to talk to you. He wants to make you laugh and then leave.
And then leave. That's kind of how Dave Chappelle is now, too.
Yeah.
I love Dave Attell so much.
Yeah, he's What was it? Insomniacs?
Insomniac.
Was that the show that? Yeah,
Yep.
that I love that show.
was
Great
great.
show.
Yeah, he's a real curmudgeon and
very
doesn't
much so.
care,
Nope.
and it's just like, this is who I am. This is the lifestyle I'm going to live, and that's the commitment. But you know what? He's living it.
Mm-hmm. And his for the first time ever, he did a Netflix special. It came out, I don't know if earlier this year or last year, and he said, I only have 38 minutes, and they said, well, our minimum is 40 minutes. So he's like, I'm doing 38, but I'll be able to fill 40 minutes. So he just played the recorder for the last 2 minutes just to get to 40 minutes.
Is it actually on the?
It's actually in the
Oh, I need to watch that. I need to watch that. I've never seen that. That's funny.
It's
as
the
hell.
fucking funniest, and he literally brings that recorder to every show and plays songs on it, and then delivers jokes just because he can.
Oh,
He is one of my favorite people to watch, and I think this is probably the person who's ever made Caitlin laugh as hard as she has every time we go see him. And he could tell us the same jokes, and I'd laugh every damn time. I love David Tell so much.
Right on. How many times have you seen him?
I think we've seen him 4 or 5 times now. But yeah, he's at the Improv in Schaumburg a lot, and then we saw him on Burt Kreischer's Fully Loaded Festival this year in June in Savannah, Georgia. So,
Oh, Bert.
Man, that felt good to get that pick in.
There you go. You got who you wanted. I got my Norm
did.
Macdonald. The rest of the draft, I don't really care what happens.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'll go. Boy,
That's why I add another round, buddy.
this is difficult, but all right, I'll pick another person I've seen, I think, 5 times now. From Chicago and Vegas, Minnesota. I've followed him to see him everywhere, and that is one of my favorite people, John Mulaney.
He's funny. He's really funny. I think a St. Ignatius guy from the South Side.
Yeah, I've just recently gotten into him more, and another guy, just delivery's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, and his observational humor is up there.
The minute the election ended, I watched the Horse in the Hospital thing over again, and I there's a horse in the hospital. So good.
The horse used the elevator. I didn't know he knew how to do that.
Oh man.
And then his newest thing, talking about his time in rehab and trying to be like coy about it, and he goes in the room. Hi, everybody. I'm John M. And nobody fucking knew who I was.
One of the few guys that got clean and got funnier when he got clean. You know?
My God. And,
Yeah.
You know, his friendship with Nick Kroll and like Pete Davidson, the things they've been doing to us, it's all just been great. And I think he's now getting a new talk show on Netflix starting next year, so that'll be even more fun to see. But yeah, I love John Mulaney so much.
Now, did you happen to see Thelma Krause at the Improv in Schaumburg? Or?
I booed her there, actually.
Oh, nice. Okay.
3 Tomatoes had her too.
Very disappointed. Well, it's my turn now. I'm stuck now. All right, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I love Louis C.K.
Oh, yeah, he's on my list. Stoop's gonna be happy.
I gotta go. I think I just got my buddy Kevin's vote. One of the Staten Island Fairies. I think I got Kevin's vote. I'm pretty sure Kevin's favorite comedians are Norm Macdonald and Louis C.K. So, yeah, anything that guy does is funny to me. Like even like when he was on like Parks and Rec, he was.
Oh, I know. As the cop, he was.
As the cop, yeah. I mean, even that was fucking funny.
Like
but his show, both of his shows were hilarious.
Oh, Louis is great.
The stand up. I mean, he's one of those guys that just walks into a club and wants to do stand up for 40 people in New York.
Yeah.
So if you're like sitting in a club in New York, Louis C.K. is going to walk in and just sit down, you know.
Jesus Christ, Kevin.
Kevin's had the honor of watching him masturbate. Yes.
Yeah, I think there was something that went down in Improv Olympic in Chicago, where he was. I don't know. There was some sort of. I don't know if he took it out or there was some sort of. I don't know. He got in trouble for that, I'm sure.
Wait, it? He took it out? Sorry.
Yes,
Seinfeld
we Bob.
All right, Nick.
Oh boy. Oh man, I don't know where. I don't even know. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, you might know this comedian, bizarre, off the wall comedian. Saw this comedian in Vegas. He has died a couple of years ago. He had a Comedy Central special. You know, again, when a lot of comedians were kind of blowing up, and it just what he was doing. I don't know. It just hit me. I'm like, this is really creative. I love the stuff that's off the wall and different. And I don't think he ever really, he didn't even really evolve much. He kind of had this one thing and he kept doing it. Even like when I went to go see him in Vegas years later, I'm like, oh, you're still doing kind of the same set, but this is funny stuff. The Amazing Jonathan.
Yes.
I've heard the name.
Yes. His shtick is insane,
oh, gosh,
but it's so funny.
It's really, really funny. And a couple years ago, I stumbled on like just a real DIY documentary that I don't know landed on Amazon Prime or something on Amazing Jonathan and him making this like comeback, and he's been sick, and oh wow, is he just the timing, how quick he was, and his routine was great. It was very fresh and original.
Yep. And that documentary was created and directed by another stand-up comic, Steve Byrne.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Made that for him. So
yeah,
they've been great friends for a long, until obviously Jonathan passed away. But yeah, that Comedy Central hour that he has is one of the things I found when I was like younger. I think I was like 11 or 12 when that first like popped on Comedy Central late at night. And I was like, what is this? And I was dying laughing as like a 12-year-old kid. Like, what am I watching?
And it's so fast. And honestly, like I didn't get some of the stuff when I first saw it. But you go back and watch it years later, or you hear a reference or you hear a song lyric or something. You're like, oh my God, that's what he was talking about. Damn, that's even funnier now that I know what the hell he's talking about and referencing. He had like the microphone. I don't even know if it was improvised or some of it felt like he just was on the, improvising. The microphone slipped and fell to like crotch height, and he's like, hey look, Talking Heads, and he like moves the microphone back and forth to this other guy that he brought up to be like him. Like, man, that was really really funny. Joey Gladstone,
come on, Kevin, cut it
out. Oh man,
he does. Do you know that Dave Coulier, sorry to go off point here, I looked up the Amazing Jonathan. I've seen him. I just don't remember. So I need to go back and watch. But the minute I saw his face, I'm like, I've seen this guy, and he's funny as hell.
He's very expressive. He's
very eccentric.
So every single Richard Pryor movie that's ever been made, when they do the dubbing for TV versions of the movies, Dave Coulier does the voice of Richard Pryor.
There's no way that's real. That
can't be. It is absolutely. He was on Oprah talking about it. It's actually real.
It's one thing to like realize that Alanis Morissette wrote a whole album about Dave Coulier.
Right.
Now you're telling me he does the Richard Pryor's.
If you watch watch Hear No Evil, See No Evil on like TBS or something, and the dub over is Dave Coulier.
Wow.
Is Dave Coulier the most interesting man in the world?
Apparently.
Oh, wow.
Weird Canadian feller.
Man, is Dave Coulier sneaking into my fifth round here? Oh,
no,
boy, you really.
No, we're gonna discuss worst comics ever. So that's not yet.
Oh gosh! All right, so this is my fifth round now. This is my pick. Okay, well then I got to take this guy. never saw, obviously, this guy died back in the 60s, but I mean, he will find himself number one or number two in any list. Groundbreaking comedian. There was a play written about his life, and I saw the play in Chicago years ago, and the actor did an amazing performance. And then, of course, if you've watched Marvelous Miss Maisel on Prime, he is featured in that TV show. It just, again, it's like, I wish this guy was alive to just slay what's going on in our society. And, but Lenny Bruce is my pick here in the 5th round. I've listened to the albums. I've watched as many documentaries as I can. I've read the books. Wow. And the play was outstanding. I mean, talk about a dude that just, you think about the things that he was getting in trouble for back in the 60s, the late 50s and 60s, and what is being done now in comedy. And it's like, thank you, Lenny Bruce. Thanks for everything that you went through to basically get comedy and comedians and Carlin. And there's so many others to thank, but damn.
Yeah, he was the first one to get like real edgy, right?
I mean, he was, to basically go to prison, be arrested on stage or right after a show for the things he said. That, again, like, that shouldn't be something that you get in prison for right now.
Right.
And, basically bankrupt from court fees late in his life, just trying to fight for his freedom of speech. And he died, I think, from a heroin overdose in Hollywood.
Morphine. I just looked it up. It was morphine.
Yeah. I mean, and it was just it was a troubling last several years, but, I feel like you gotta, no matter what, he's got to be on a list when we're talking about comedians.
Yeah. Good one. I've only seen a handful of things of his over the years, and I mean he was together, man. For being somebody that was as fucked up as he was together. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, which is,
I mean, he was the standard back in the late 50s and 60s. I mean, he was. That's what people strove, like they wanted to be this guy. I mean, the way he analyzed things and the way he talked about things in like a scandalous way. But this is what's happening, folks. This is what's happening in society. I'm just now telling it to you like this. And I don't know if people ever experienced that before, in that type of entertainment world.
Yeah. Awesome. My last pick is near and dear to me. One of my favorite everything. You guys know I'm a big wrestling fan. So I'm going to go Andy Kaufman.
Oh my goodness. That's a great pick. Damn, is that a good pick?
Yep. That's a guy that he didn't care if you laughed at him or not. He laughed at himself.
Oh, brilliant. Just brilliant.
And nothing like what was legitimate, what was real, what wasn't real. You never know. Like he was so just off.
I mean, he would have his manager, Bob Zamuda, planted in the audience so he could just yell at this supposed stranger. But it was Bob Zamuda, and people
Bob
didn't know
Zamuda
what
played
to think.
Tony Clifton. Too.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Who's Tony Clifton?
Yes.
Where did any of this come from?
Kaufman was like, I'm just going to fuck around with society and humanity. Like, this is my playroom. I'm just going to mess around with all of you. I mean, great pick.
When I was in the 108 tournament a couple of years ago, I was gonna do. I had like a horrible flu, like 102 fever, but I was planning on doing this. So I just never got to it. Well, I was going to do like the Mighty Mouse thing, but I was going to do Go White Sox. Like when I did the Go White Sox, I do the dance, and the wrestling stuff was so weird and awesome. Like he just loved to just get screaming and yelling with all the hillbillies in Memphis, Tennessee, and and
the show,
and
the
the David
theatrics.
Letterman stuff, like
Yeah.
what was real, like all the Jerry Lawler stuff was bullshit, and it was all choreographed. But
Yeah.
you didn't think so at the time. I mean, smacked the shit out of him on national TV,
Mm-hmm.
and just for the misdirection and all the mystery behind Andy Kaufman. He was. I don't even want to call him a stand-up comic as much as just like an experience. You know what I mean? Like there's so many angles he played off that I just loved every minute
it was like just theater. It was sociological experiments. I feel like he just wanted to see what he can do. I mean, he did some Andy Kaufman TV show, which was a special, and during the special, he purposefully wanted the TV to just kind of go fuzzy.
Yep. They talked about that in Man on the Moon.
Yeah, just so people would get up from the couch to go turn the TV, almost like a kind of gotcha moment. And they're like, what is wrong with you? Why? And he's like, no, it's going to be funny. This is going to be great. Like he just, it was basically, this was just all for him. This stuff was just for him to get a laugh.
Yeah, and he had to like negotiate the with the TV going out like that. The vertical, I think it was the vertical hold that went haywire. He had to like negotiate that with the network because they wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he played Carnegie Hall, and what he took everybody out for milk and cookies. He loaded buses up, and he just took the audience.
And the sad part at that point is he knew he was dying at that point too. That was
everybody thought it was a joke. Like nobody believed him.
Well, you could. I mean, he was the comic that cried wolf.
Right.
Like that's
right.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
I love my draft. I think Sam's gonna win just because of George Carlin and Steve Martin, but I love my draft.
I think Sam got forced into Dave Coulier, so we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I'm kind of might have to pick him at this point just to resonate with the audience here. I am laughing at Kevin's comment.
Yeah, this was the comment of the night, Kevin.
Well, even the one before that. Fun fact: Lenny Bruce was never on Two Broke Girls.
Facts are facts, by the way.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
Kevin, please start writing articles for the Sadistic Penguin Studios website, please. Pretty please.
They don't even have to make sense.
Yeah, they don't. Write whatever you want.
Prefer that they don't.
Please start writing for us. I'll actually start. I'll pay you. Please write for us. Out of my own pocket. I'll just steal all the Gordo shirt money.
Here, Kevin. We were gonna give this to Gordo, but
we were gonna give this to our guy who's having surgery.
You need it more.
All right, Sam. What do you got last here?
Oh boy, I have so many on my list still, and this is gonna maybe tank my draft here, but I gotta do it. You can disrespect the man all you want. Respect the art form. He's done it at a high level since his very first appearance on the stage. He's one of the biggest names of all time, and he deserves every damn thing he's getting. It's Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen Dave Chappelle live twice. He is phenomenal. He always brings a great show with him. We got to see Redman and Method Man after he was done, which was wild. He had Jeff Ross open for him.
Jeff Ross.
And and then the next show we had Lunel, Donnell Rawlings came out. It was just a wild show. He always knows how to throw a party, and he himself is one of the greatest joke writers of all time.
Yeah, that's a great pick, man. That's another dude that just, he's kind of gone all different kinds of routes.
Every different thing.
I mean, since he kind of broke out and had his show, and you got to just, that's a wild life when you have that type of stardom and that skyrocket to fame. And it's like, what do you do? What do you go from? How do you handle things? Where do you go from here? But yeah, like you had said before you picked, there's no you can't deny his ability to write, his stand-up presence, and just the creativity.
The show and specifically the show, you have to give credit to Neil Brennan too, because that guy.
And Neil Brennan's on my list.
You ever see the like, I don't even know if it's you. I don't even know if you can call it stand up, like spoken word about like his problems with like anxiety and.
Oh yeah,
it's fucking great.
His specials are fantastic.
Oh my god,
Neil Brennan is a fantastic stand-up.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. He's
just a great writer.
Very well. But Dave Chappelle's "Killing Them Softly" is probably one of my favorite specials I've ever seen. It was from I think 2002. And then he followed it up for what it's worth in 2004 in San Francisco, and he eviscerated that San Francisco crowd.
Question for you too. Funny. What is the single greatest comedy special of all time?
Eddie Murphy Raw.
Okay.
I mean that does that gets a lot of votes, that gets a lot of play. I'd have to think about that for a little bit, because there's been some doozies that I've just wanted to rewatch over and over. But yeah, I mean that one's like legendary. I mean some of Richard Pryor's stuff, like some of his, which he was on my list that I just I didn't get to.
On mine
some
too.
Some of his specials, especially after he basically burnt himself,
on fire. Yeah,
some of those were just wow. I mean, just electric. Yeah, but
I loved how brutally honest he got after all that shit happened, and after he stopped crack, the crack and all that shit, free base and whatever. I guess it wasn't crack; it was free. Well, same thing, kind of. But but yeah, I mean, I would say it's Eddie Murphy too. But there's a
variety.
That Chris Rock one.
Yeah, Chris Rock.
Can't remember the name
Chris
of that.
Rock. There's a variety of reasons of why Robin Williams might not have been on one of our lists, but some of his specials, man, like you can't touch like what he was doing though. I mean, he definitely helped himself to a lot of different people, and he had a lot of things going through his system, but that dude was going a million miles an hour, and wow, was it some funny stuff. I mean, it's he still had to deliver, and he sure did.
And if you ever talk to anybody that worked with him back then in the 70s and the 80s, they're all surprised he lived as long as he did.
Yeah, I mean,
that guy did so much cocaine, his heart should have exploded.
Yeah,
over
the alcohol, the everything that he's come out about, but his stand-up is one thing, but like when you talk to people that were on a show with him or something improv wise, like I couldn't compete.
You cannot keep up with him.
I couldn't. I mean, the dude was just brilliant. The things that he had no fear.
Yeah.
He would literally go out on stage. Like he would have some jokes written, and then he would just have like spaces to improv here. And he would make up new lines every night for his show.
Yeah. When he was on the Inside the Actor Studio, I don't know if you guys ever watched that show years ago.
Yeah.
And his,
I don't think I've ever seen that one specifically.
That one is legendary. I mean, and that goes right to your point, Sam, where I don't know of how many questions he actually answered, because most of the time is him just jacking around with audience members and using, a woman's scarf in the front row to do like 12 different characters with. It was wow. You were exhausted just watching it.
Absolutely.
There's an HBO special Robin Williams did, and it was later on. It was towards the, he was already a superstar. And he hadn't done stand up for a long time, and he did an HBO special, and like this, like the energy he brings, like the sweat coming off of his body, like oh my god, it's hilarious. Like the guy's like a literal bear too, so like help, but like all the like you see his arms like
dripping sweat.
But look at just look at the dramatic roles that he did, even the comedic roles, but some of the dramatic stuff that he did, wow, like it's just his, I don't know, the catalog of his work is damn impressive. Jeez.
Would you say that people that excel in comedy acting are more likely to excel in dramatic acting because they have that?
Yes.
That range
I think that I just personally think that you have got to have, this isn't always the case, but you've got to have something almost troubling that you're dealing with, whether you were just an outcast in school or you've got some sort of anxiety issue or something, you've just got something. We all got something, right? We're all broken, but you've got to have something that just like you go to that place and stand up as your outlet. But then when you get into a dramatic role, you can channel that hurt. Like you've been to hell and back. And like, so I can use this to really get deep into a character. And I feel like when you watch some of Robin Williams, like some of the darker stuff he was doing, like Death to Smoochie or 1 Hour Photo, it was like, whoa, some of that I feel like is a thin veil. Like he's coming through it from, I lived this and now I get to I just can be myself in this character.
Yeah. Death to Smoochie's wonderful. I love that movie so much. My stepdad's not mean, he's just adjusting. All right. Well, we've already transitioned into Richard Pryor and Robin Williams. Let's start going dump lists. Or no, wait. Let's do worst. Who's the worst comedian of all time?
Who's up?
Let's let Sam start.
Oh my God. I mean, it's really funny to say like someone's the worst of all time who's had an incredibly successful career and is still going somehow. And to me, it's Carrot Top.
He was on my list. Yeah.
I mean, it's prop comedy. He's the only one who can do it because nobody else is going to do prop comedy.
Like, no thanks. You got this, Carrot Top. You got it, man.
You perfect this. You do that.
Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up.
Well, with Carrot Top, you can go back to the icon of prop comedy and someone I mentioned to you guys in the pre-show, and it's Gallagher.
100%.
Gallagher, I actually thought Gallagher was hilarious when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, his special.
If you watch it now,
if
you watch it now, it's just bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like his comedy has no depth to it at all. And then after the comedy, then he just starts hitting shit with a
right. It's like observational stuff. Like, why are they called buildings? They should be called built. And then he's like, "Hey, now I'm going to just smash this watermelon."
It's Kenny. He's Kenny Banya.
That can swing a sledgehammer. Yeah.
Right. And then his brother stole his act. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah.
Gallagher had. I don't know if you knew this, Sam, but Gallagher had a twin brother. And he went on tour as Gallagher 2.
Yeah.
Was it Noel or Liam?
Right.
Gallagher brothers riffing again.
All right. I noticed that our guy Drew Bogues mentioned Jeff Dunham on his list here, and Jeff Dunham would be on my list as worst comics.
I've seen Jeff Dunham live before.
He's tops of my list.
New Year's Eve 2009, I saw him at Minneapolis.
My mother-in-law is gonna watch. She watches every episode, so I apologize to my mother-in-law because I know her and her and her husband love Jeff Dunham. So
yeah, he kind of wore down quick.
I never got into it. I just couldn't.
It's funny. It's funny the first time, and then you're just like, okay, this is just bad now.
But he's still coming out with new specials, and he's hustling, man. He absolutely is. Yeah,
all those guys are. And then who else? I had Louis Anderson on mine just because I just couldn't take his voice.
Louis. Have you seen the show Baskets though with Zach Galifianakis? Louis Anderson was really good in Baskets, really good, and a hell of a Family Feud host.
Show me boobs.
Oh man, he made really good fries at McDowell's as well. So.
Now they got me washing lettuce.
I think my Louis Anderson impression's pretty good.
Hey, Hey, few are doing it, Brian. So keep, you do the Louis Anderson. Few have got
Thanks,
it.
Nick.
Oh man, I mean, I have like, I'm. I actually enjoyed Jeff Foxworthy years ago. I was like, this is kind of funny. I can't really relate to it, but it's funny. But I can't get into like Larry the Cable Guy or Ron
No.
White.
I
Like that
actually
blue
kind of
collar
like Ron White.
Ron White's okay. He's
I
like the one I
can't.
can still tolerate from them. But one of Mike Birbiglia has a great joke about that. No joke.
Mike Birbiglia. Oh,
No.
what a good one.
No joke should ever end with "I'm joking" or "get her done."
He's a smart comedian.
Oh,
dude.
he's
He
fantastic.
is, man. He's really, really good.
I saw him live in Milwaukee a couple years ago. It was fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Drew. Ted Koppel. Ted Koppel was.
Any other bad ones? And I had Dane Cook on my list. I'm sorry, guys. I go to watch Dane Cook something. I'd be like, I can't.
It's very easy to make fun of Dane Cook.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. You're
I
right.
had Carrot Top. I had Jeff Dunham was at the top of my list. I mean, I don't think I've ever sat through a Jeff Dunham special. So yeah.
When he takes out the Arab one, you're just like, this is fucked up.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, boy.
Yeah.
The old man's funny, but then when he takes out the and then later on it's like a skeleton of an Arab, and you're just like, this isn't fucking funny anymore. Like this is kind of fucked up, I don't love comics that fuck with their voice too much, but I love Gilbert Gottfried.
Gilbert Gottfried is one of the best disgusting comics of all time.
Yeah,
I think Bobcat gets a bad rap too, but
Bobcat.
Bobcat can make his voice go way wide ranges.
Who
Though.
was
It's
the
so
one
funny.
from the Rodney Dangerfield movie? He died like he was just a hurricane, a big dude, long hair. Gosh, I'm blanking on his name. I'm sorry. This is not going well for me in terms of figuring this out. Very loud comedian. Back to school.
Sam Kinison.
Yes.
Oh, Sam Kinison. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Sam Kinison was great, but again,
Great.
like 20 minutes in, you're like, okay,
Exactly.
can you just stop
It's
yelling?
stop yelling. But that was like I think he was something that nobody's ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, okay, and you're like, this dude can't sustain this lifestyle or this like thing, whatever he's doing. So of course, it was game over. But he was something that came on fast and furious.
Yeah, for sure. And he another guy just burned out and disappeared and died. Like he was young. He was in his 40s, I believe, when he passed away.
Yep, he was very young.
Yeah.
He was a freaking kid.
I do have. Oh, you know what? Hang on a second. I've got a list from our guy Sean Jankowski. Sean always gives us a list, so.
I knew Sean would have a list.
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
Always.
okay.
So Taylor Tomlinson, man, I've been watching her lately. She's funny as hell. Yeah. And you know what? I think it's because of her background too, because she grew up in like a very, very religious family, and then like now she's just all over the place. And I think that upbringing kind of helped mold her being who she is. Joe Coy. Some of it's funny. Some of it comes off as like it's a little racist, like a little bit. But
I'm familiar, but I don't think I couldn't tell you much about this.
Don't let the Golden Globes sway you from watching Joe Coy do comedy. He was only given 8 days to prepare for the Golden Globes.
Hey, where are you guys at on Ricky Gervais?
I love Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais is great.
Okay, I love him too. I was like kind of embarrassed I didn't even have him on my laundry list here, but I just think he's just so damn funny,
and he does not care.
You're right. I love that, and I love it. I love that. Love that.
No. But I think that's actually part of being a successful comic is if you start to listen to the criticism, you're just like, Like that's not what you got into this for, buddy. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go dump lists now. I'll start it off. I had Jim Jeffries.
Good one.
Yeah, he's there's no filter on that dude.
Nope.
Tom Segura's. I think Tom Segura is a better podcast host than a stand-up comic, but his stand-up's really good, and so is his wife's. There you go.
Sam's got the shirt.
Seen Tom many times, and seen him again in March.
Chris Rock, I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, Drew. Totally. The gun stuff is so good.
Jim Jeffries gun stuff
It's
is
so good with Jim Jeffries and the gun stuff. It's so funny. Patton Oswalt.
Oh yeah, sure.
David Cross.
Oh gosh,
his stuff is so good.
Another guy that kind of got canceled.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah,
I don't. I wouldn't assume he would.
Brian Posehn.
Oh,
yeah.
Brian Posehn is one of the funniest people ever.
Yeah,
I love him as like a character actor in shows.
Oh yeah,
Of course, I'm going from Mr. Showcast member to Mr. Showcast member by going from David Cross. I'm not gonna mention the guy that was on Bob's Burgers that's gonna spend time in prison now. So, story for another time. Zach Galifianakis, I had.
Yes, had him.
Live at the Purple Onion is so good.
Yeah.
Kevin's right, John Schriffen.
Live from Live Beach.
Hey, I laughed my ass off when he did the Panther thing. I'll tell you. What the fuck are you doing?
Talk about a guy that doesn't care. Yeah.
Right. Mark Maron.
Yep.
Oh, Mark Maron. Sure. Good call.
I used to not like him, but I'm really Anthony Jeselnik's really
he's
growing
the
on
best.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Delivery, man.
November 26th, new special comes out, filmed in Milwaukee.
I was watching clips. Brandy's not a big stand-up comedy person, but I was watching Jeselnik. It was like a compilation of clips, and she'd stop watching whenever it went from bearded Jeselnik to not bearded Jeselnik. And then Natasha Leggero is really funny too.
Fantastic. She's fantastic.
And then finally, this is someone I was going to draft in the second round. Then I was going to draft him in the third round, and it just kept happening. Lewis Black.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
God,
another guy that just screamed until you laughed at
That's
him.
why that's why he's on his final tour, because his voice is shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. So that's what I had. Nick, anybody else you wanted to mention?
I mean, gosh, we've said so many. Here's somebody that I have seen live, and she's actually got she's had a couple Comedy Central shows, or maybe Netflix shows. I think she's really funny, but I don't think many people know about her as Maria Bamford.
Oh, Maria Bamford's hilarious.
She is damn funny. I love her delivery, and she's going to be in Rockford next Thursday, I think. I mean, she's touring, and
she's the one with like really higher pitched.
Yeah,
she's funny as hell.
She's terribly awkward, and she talks about her anxiety issues, and very funny. I could just she's again like kind of under the radar, but like she's had some specials. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but when he had a special.
Show Wolf is good too.
It was in it was in the late 90s maybe, and I just thought it was so funny. He did this bit about people at a McDonald's menu looking at the left side and then at the right side, and it's the same damn menu. But Sinbad had a couple of specials that were just like, damn, this is funny shit. And that was again when like those Comedy Central big hour specials were blasted out.
Yep.
And that was he had some good stuff. This is a guy that's like super kind of hot right now. Nate Bargatze. I've seen him live, and he's kind of blown up. His podcast is great. He was just on SNL, I think, last season with a funny bit as George Washington.
And then he had his second hosting gig this past couple weeks ago, like about the
yep, yeah, and
he's done really well.
He's got a couple Netflix specials now, and it's like one of these, like, are you going to kind of burn out because you've been so everywhere? But his delivery, just his face, is everything is he's super funny to me.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think I have really any. We said Galifianakis.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you guys
The
mentioned
stuff
a
with
lot
the
of
piano with Galifianakis was always
the best.
Yeah,
hilarious.
he had a couple, like, I mean, even that music video he did. What was that music video? He was like in the fields, like on a tractor, and it was like he had that musician, that artist ask him to do his music video. I can't remember who it was, but it's like, dude, this is like really, really different. He was just experimental stuff. I mean,
it was with Kanye West.
yes, Kanye.
I gotta watch that
have you
now.
seen that? You've seen that?
No, I have not seen that, but
you haven't seen that?
No, but I'm definitely gonna watch it after this.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good that he asked Galifianakis to be in this music video.
That's insane.
And it's basically all in a field. He's like on a tractor.
Oh,
It's so good. It's like,
that's
this
amazing.
He did
like that-
he did a couple videos on YouTube where he's just really deadpanning, bombing, and there are clips that he'll show how he mashed it and edited it. It is like black and white, silent, and it's just the audience that he just is like, nobody is laughing, nobody is, and he plays to that. And I'm like, that's really, really creative. I mean, that's a smart way of early on, like, using YouTube to just get your notoriety out. You're not able to get into clubs and stuff, or some of your stuff you can't do on stage, but I can do these videos and I can get my name out there.
You like that Between Two Ferns and all that
Yes,
stuff.
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
He makes Amy Adams say, "No, you can't come on my tits." Or was it fart on my tits? I don't remember.
Something like that. Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's so funny.
He just right. You know, on my list, I forgot Sarah Silverman as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another Mr. Showcast member.
Good stuff.
Right.
Good lists.
All right, I got a dump list. I got a bunch of names, so I'm just gonna shoot through them. Richard Pryor,
Yep.
Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Whitney Cummings, Nikki Glazer, late great
Glazer's
Don Rickles.
hilarious.
Oh, Don
Rickles is the
Jesus.
best.
Love Rickles. Anthony Jeselnik.
Don Rickles makes fun of everybody. I love it.
Everyone, doesn't matter.
You ever see the Julia Roberts thing when he's at a roast? And he's like, "You live next door to me. You never come over and say hi." And then she starts talking. He's like, "Be quiet, sweetie. Just smile." And she just busts out laughing. You know, they apparently like lived next door to each other for like a decade. So
Yeah. Anthony Jeselnik, Tom Segura, Mike Birbiglia, Mark Normand, Mitch Fattel, Jackie the Joke Man, Martling, if you were familiar with the Howard Stern show.
Yep.
Russell Peters, Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams, Sam Kinison was on my list. Gary Shandling,
Gary Shandling.
Yeah.
Gosh.
R.I.P. Ali Wong, Patton Oswalt, Jim Gaffigan, Neil Brennan, Bo Burnham, Joan Rivers, Louis Black, and John Panette.
go back to Gary Shandling really quick. Have you ever sat down and actually watched the Larry Sanders show?
Yes.
Oh, a few episodes. Yeah.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's the original Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
he
That's how
puts
somebody
himself in
explained it to me. Yes.
He puts himself in compromising situations all the time, and it always like builds up to that like one point at the end, like every episode, and it's just crafted just brilliant.
Yeah.
The cast is awesome.
Yeah, he oh gosh, he was he have a second show then too?
Well, Well, he had the Gary Shandling show first.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he had the Larry Sanders show.
And then he had the
Yes,
Larry
yes, yes.
Sanders
Gotcha,
show.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did anything after that, though. I think he was just more of somebody in the background. It was really funny watching him pop up in
He
Iron
loved
Man
to do
2.
stand-up. Yeah, that was random too.
He was
He just
in
loved it. He loved stand-up.
Zoolander for a hot second. He was.
He was like one of the judges on the
one of
runway.
the judges in the
He was
runway,
like
yeah.
giving
I
it.
don't remember that. Wow.
Yeah, he was scary.
How weird of a situation is that?
Yeah.
Well, all right. This was a good one. I had a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
We could probably do another 5 rounds. We're
I
still,
know,
Absolutely.
Great,
But,
great board.
I mentioned in the pre-show of doing a comprehensive SNL one. Either of you guys interested in that?
I could.
Yeah, I'd have to.
I got to do a lot of research, but
Yeah, do a little bit.
Yeah.
I kind of fell off the program, but
Yeah. No, I haven't really watched consistently in a long time, but
yeah,
okay.
if it's weird that I'm just picking from like the 90s and early 2000s,
No.
it's just
Not at all. Not at all. We did the second season of Drafty Pods. The premiere episode was Simpsons Draft.
okay.
And I think most of us haven't actually consistently watched on a weekly
Yeah.
basis in
Yeah.
at least 15 years, probably longer. So,
and it's
Yeah.
still going.
it's been on for 40 years
It's
almost at this
still
point.
going.
I mean, you could even say and have the argument or have the list of like most successful SNL cast member after they left the show, and have that.
That's a good one too.
Conversation. Yeah.
Nobody picked Jim Belushi.
I was gonna. But
Yeah, there's always those moments after one of these where you're just like, damn, man, I ruined it.
where's Jim?
Do I think Chris Farley would have done stand-up specials? That's an interesting
Farley was
question.
never a stand-up.
Never really. Yeah, he always just did
He was a
weird
sketch
physical
guy.
comedy.
And
Yeah.
a physical comedy guy.
Yeah.
Worst SNL hosts. That's going to be number one. What was that
Donald
fucking-
Trump.
No, the Trump one was bad, but there was a guy that ran for president. Shit.
Bob Dole.
It's another like rich guy. I can't remember what his name was.
Bloomberg.
No, it was long. It was a long time ago, but he was so bad. God, I can't remember.
Michael
I'm gonna have to look-
Dukakis,
No.
the host.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look it up and let you guys know because I can't remember. But
Mm.
all right, Sam,
Yeah.
you want to plug anything?
Yeah, all sports scene. Go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. We're there too. We'll have Ask Ass for you on Thursday, as we do every Thursday. Talking about our ass will be back on Tuesday, which both of you have been guests on. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, we're just plugging
Talk
along.
about Jerry Krause again.
Yeah. But, yeah,
all right.
that's we got going.
Nick, what do you got coming, man?
This Sunday we'll be back Sunday night for a Good Guys Talk Back. We'll talk a little, GM meetings, new manager, typical White Sox BS in this off season, and find that podcast everywhere. We'll be live on the YouTube channel, and then right before kind of the holidays get into gear on the 17th. I'm sorry, the 24th, November 24th will be a brand new Sox Sober, and we'll talk a little holiday sobriety. If you want to get uncomfortable, bring up sobriety during your Thanksgiving dinner and see how that goes. But yeah, brand new one, and that'll be a lot of fun. And find that podcast everywhere.
Awesome. I want to thank you. We had a blast. Brandy and I had a blast at the meetup at that.
Oh gosh, you guys are great. Yeah,
that
isn't that
was
place
awesome.
something else? That's a really cool spot.
I actually reached out to them. I sent them. I haven't gotten a message back from them yet, but I actually reached out to them about. And you and I discussed it while we were sitting there about doing a pod there. Because it's like a perfect setup. So
I think they'd be open. I want to believe they'd be open to it. I just feel like they've got that vibe and tasty stuff. Very welcome.
We'll pack it in too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We'll
in
pack
that
that place
location. Yeah.
So, but all right. We'll be back next week. We're gonna be doing a music episode next week. Piecing together your like the ultimate like super band. So like the components of the band, like singer, guitar, bass, drummer. So we're working on that one. I'll give you guys a little more info as the week goes by. I am going to be doing a Thanksgiving episode in 2 weeks. Mailman Jack's going to be on, as well as Sam's lovely wife, Caitlin.
All right.
So we're going to do, it's basically, it's going to be pretty much the same draft I did a couple of years ago. We did a Thanksgiving draft with Roxy and
Zoe, right?
Zoe and Roxy. So we're gonna redo that one. I'll give you guys more info on that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, Sadistic Penguin Studios. Head on over to our merch site and buy a shirt for our buddy Gordo, who needs some medical attention, needs some help. So if anybody can help out on that front, we would appreciate it. At the show, I believe he's gonna be back on Friday. Tony's still rocking it with all the hookup on music as well. So be on the lookout for much, much more content from us. I'm going to be writing a series of articles, series of blogs, reviewing Hallmark movies in a comedy manner, I believe. So hopefully you guys will laugh. But,
wonderful.
Wait till I go on a rant about Candace fucking Cameron, and then we'll see what happens then. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Nick. And this is episode 59. Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.